I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker. Barbie Izquierdo is an activist and a spokesperson and a trailblazer in the movement to end food insecurity. She has worked for many nonprofit organizations such as the Coalition Against Hunger, the Food Trust, Hunger Free America, and is currently Director of Advocacy and Neighbor Engagement at Feeding America. With over 14 years of organizing experience, Barbie is an expert in engaging people with living experiences and has used her own lived experience and advocacy journey as a catalyst for policy change. Barbie has been featured as a keynote speaker at the White House and many events across the country. She has also been featured on BBC World News, CNN, Associated Press, Washington Post, People Magazine, and much, much more. Barbie's work has been internationally recognized, and she was recently honored as a 2022 Global Citizen Prize Award winner. She was the only U.S. citizen to receive such an award. In her spare time, Barbie is also a Hunger-Free Communities Advisory Committee member for the Alliance to End Hunger. We value her expertise on many of our policy priorities. So it's with great honor that I bring to the stage today, Barbie Izquierdo.
Thank you so much, Eric. Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed the amazing sessions both yesterday and today. I hope you all have had the opportunity to network as we've brought together nationwide hunger fighters who dedicate their time and share their expertise. Before I begin, I want to thank the Alliance to End Hunger for this opportunity to end the summit with my thoughts. The Alliance has a special place in my heart and has made me feel supported from our very first encounter. You see, I remember the first time I met Minerva. I was struggling in trauma and poverty, depressed, yes, yet motivated by my desire for change. At the time, the buzz around the film A Place at the Table had died down. My phone wasn't ringing. The emails requesting speaking engagements weren't coming in, and I felt worthless. I felt like the world didn't care about the issues I was facing, even after exposing my family struggles with food insecurity. And after sulking for a while, that urgency to get up and do something that was growing in me grew stronger and stronger. Y yo no soy una que no puedo pelear las cosas que por dentro me llaman. I, of course, at the time didn't know that it wasn't just a feeling, it was purpose, pulling at my heartstrings and forcing me to take action and advocate for myself. So what did I do? I woke up one morning and decided I had to try something. I typed in Google Hunger Conferences 2019, and I wrote a message to every single conference I found, even one in Switzerland, asking if they offered scholarships to attend. I thought if I could just get myself in these rooms, that someone would see my potential and give me a chance. Well, Minerva did something better than that. Not only did I receive a scholarship to attend the Hunger Free Community Summit, I was also asked to speak on a panel regarding the film, alongside Chairman McGovern and David Beckman from Bread for the World. That is an example of what transformational relationships look like. Transformational. Please keep that word in mind as you watch some of the phases of my life and some of how I got here. Transformational to me means a progression of efforts that allow someone to utilize their talents to take them from surviving to thriving. I found my purpose. Even though all my life I thought I was supposed to be working to fight the injustices of the criminal justice system, purpose said, I'm going to take you on a journey of hard work, vulnerability, and challenges, and you're going to have to make something of it. So I started navigating systems at an early age. For me, that meant going to the county assistant's office with my mom, completing recertification packets, trying to explain to a stranger all the things we were lacking at home, and then going to the food bank. But I was never allowed to explain that if I wanted breakfast, I had to wake up early and go to school because there was never breakfast at home. Experiences like this are why we are here. Experiences of students facing hunger, families whose first encounter with food insecurity was through their childhood and trickles down when they become providers, is why lived experience means so much to me. The people I have met are revolutionary, because we sacrifice privacy and being comfortable for the greater good, to put truth to power by challenging perspectives of rooms filled with gatekeepers. We have a thirst for knowledge and bravery to take those experiences and use our voices as our superpower. Prioritizing people with lived experience is important to me in this work because it's so personal, not just for me, but for the millions of people across the country that can relate. The adversity that I've faced makes me relatable, which translates into the drive to fight for people who have been treated unfairly. People that have had the opportunity to voice their opinions nationally through all of your hard work during listening sessions in preparation for the White House Conference on Hunger, Health, and Nutrition. This year is historic because for the first time in 50 years, we saw that we made enough noise to be noticed. But was it enough? Is it enough to just be invited? Is it okay to be asked what you learned, but not what can we learn from you? Even though you know that you have insight that's undervalued and overlooked. Well, I've seen that we're making our voices heard and we're showing everyone that it's not okay with being hidden under the rugs of society to sit with the dust and dirt of stigma and shame. Instead, we are continuing to mobilize and share our stories with an ignited passion within us, that purpose. We're becoming stakeholders. We're educating others on diet-related diseases. We're supporting programs that prioritize affordability and access to nutrition as a preventative measure to keep us healthy and prevent debt. We're having much-needed conversations around food sovereignty, discussing systemic barriers of racism and discriminatory practices and policies that harm marginalized communities. We are at a place of opportunity for true data collection and systems change as we approach the end of the year, reflecting on all of the incredible work that you all have done. We should be congratulating each other and preparing to launch a transformative 2023 because we're already making strides. I love seeing these innovative opportunities for growth to reach more families nationwide on a more consistent basis, and I'm happy to see more insight from people with lived experiences being embraced. I hope this continues so that we can proceed to expand resources to help our neighbors live a more healthy, stable, and thriving life. Safety of our people is important, so I encourage you all to keep in mind that relationship building is vital to this work. If you're benefiting from our suggestions and thoughts, you should also be providing resources to prioritize our well-being. Connect us to programs that address social determinants of health, such as direct service providers, mental health options, opportunities for compensation, and professional development to support success. To do so, we must cushion the impact to the most vulnerable by providing access and affordability to the basic necessities for survival in a way that is both dignified and respectful. We show intention by providing opportunities for engagement, by bringing compassion into guidelines, by analyzing procedures and requirements of support and resources. We must remain mindful to fill the present gaps in service. We must be innovative in our approach to accessibility by collaborating with our corporate hunger fighters who are utilizing technology to increase the access to food through online avenues like Instacart. Thank you. We must strongly affirm that when people most heavily impacted by food insecurity are involved in the eradication of hunger, it is then that we have community-driven solutions that are people-centered, trauma-informed, and culturally sound. As an Afro-Latina experiencing poverty my whole life, I've heard stories from mi familia, mis vecinos, mis maestros, that were from the communities that shaped me. So I must mention, as a person whose first language is Spanish, that I would like to applaud the Alliance for allowing us to have a session that was in my native tongue and provided English interpretation. I've been in too many spaces where people cannot freely and comfortably share their insight because of lack of translation services. As an homage to my ancestors, my culture, and my people, If you've heard me speak before, you know that I always say some things in Spanish and I don't translate it because I want my native Spanish speakers to feel included. Like I'm specifically calling on them to join me in this fight. Y les aseguro que seguiré tratando de incorporar cambios para que todos colaboremos, porque sabemos que nuestra comunidad hispana también pasa hambre, que es injusto y que tenemos que luchar juntos. We gather to fight because we know that food insecurity is a solvable issue. We fight hunger to ensure that we're doing everything in our power to meet the needs of communities nationwide. But some of us on this virtual platform have had to do this while fighting for the strength to get through the day without proper nourishment. I was one of them. So what would I like to see moving forward? I would like to see the expansion of healthy food at retailers, more funding and grants for organizing, advocacy, and outreach for SNAP. We need to make sure programs like SNAP, WIC, school meals, and initiatives supporting students of all ages are robustly funded and supported so that more people have what they need to take care of themselves and their loved ones. We're looking forward to the upcoming Farm Bill and Child Nutrition Reauthorization. But what policies do we want to see change? We need continued advocacy behind a stronger safety net so that when people are transitioning from receiving assistance, they're not abruptly cut off from the resources they need to keep them afloat. Because that makes them go from their head above water to water above their head and back to needing a life raft. We also need a stronger united front on the ethical engagement of people experiencing this issue because it grants us the gift of knowledge as we meet community members with the burning desire to help society because they're tired of seeing their own people suffer and are motivated to be a part of the change. No one wants to live in poverty. No one wants to feel the rumble of hunger without the nourishment to make the pain stop. We need to support livable wages that provide the funds to share a plate of food with pride and a smile to feed your family. We need sponsored, organized spaces like this one, where private sector, corporations, philanthropists, academics, people with lived expertise, nonprofits, and government are all in one room, shifting power, listening, implementing strategies, and hiring people with lived experience. We need to focus on a paradigm shift that gives the community power over the decisions usually made for them to ensure equity and that there is, in fact, a shift of power. We need affordability. Our families need to have nutritious meals that they can afford without having to compromise another bill, like a prescription medication or having their utilities cut off. In President Biden's inaugural remarks, he stated, "We lead not by the example of our power, but by the power of our example." Leading by power of example to me means that we're jumping into action. It means that we're taking this issue seriously and that we're going to produce results and best practices that can be shared. It means an end to hunger. So let's start at home. Action at home is invigorating. It shows you that your voice does matter, and because you get to see a reflection of your hard work through your results in your community, it's encouraging to the people affected by the issue. The important part is to start, to use the tools that you have gained throughout this summit to get to work. Advocate for yourself, because advocating for myself and my community has brought me here. I currently live in Florida, and my neighborhood was hit by Hurricane Ian. During a visit to my market, I saw a sign announcing that FNS approved the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services waiver that applied to all counties in the state of Florida. One of the things that it allowed was for SNAP households to purchase hot foods with SNAP benefits through October 31st in order to increase access to food after power outages and flooding as a result of the hurricane. For the first time in my lifetime, I saw with my own eyes something that I've been fighting for since 2007. What I saw was that the government can, in fact, provide support in a way that acknowledges the value of having the ability to eat a hot meal. So why is it so foreign when we're fighting for people who don't have access to a stove or kitchens to prepare hot meals, like the picture that was featured in the beginning? It shows me that the government can accommodate today's policies to meet the needs of communities nationwide, that the money is there. So we need to continue to fight for an implementation of permanent access to hot meals, because we know now, after the effects of the pandemic, that more is possible. When safety nets like this aren't in place, more families experience being judged and treated like they are less than, but more importantly, more children and families are going to bed hungry. We know that society has created a stigma that people who receive benefits do not deserve them. However, we are change makers. We are building a movement under a common goal. We are a force of change. We are monuments in shaping the future for a more just and hunger-free country. The merit of this work is immeasurable. They wanted to hear our voices, and we showed up and showed out with community, because sí se puede. We know the power we have when we come together. And we are calling on this community to engage more deeply in the policies, roles, and opportunities that create a bridge between decision makers and the people being forced to make sacrificial decisions. Through this work, I've learned that I'm an activist and an organizer at heart. I am blessed to say that I've had various roles that have stemmed from my lived experience. I started as a bilingual SNAP hotline counselor, to teaching nutrition education in the most at-risk communities in Philly, to becoming a community empowerment manager. And now, in my position as the Director of Advocacy Neighbors Engagement at Feeding America and working with Global Citizen, I've been given the privilege to be trusted with bipartisan stories globally of families struggling with food insecurity. As I see it, it is my responsibility to utilize my tools, gifts, networks, and resources to make the connections that enrich these experiences with truth and authenticity. I prepared a PDF as a handout with this session with 5 tips for engaging people with lived experience for you all. Please feel free to contact me if you would like to further discuss how we can work together and uplift the ethical engagement of neighbors with lived experience. I would like to end with a personal thank you to everyone that has helped me along my journey and everyone that has allowed me to be a part of theirs. And for all of your love and for all of your support. I want to thank every organization that has supported and given this mom with goals an opportunity and a stage without boundaries to explore my limitless potential and grow into the woman that I am today. Thank you to each and every person that has trusted me, not only to represent them in these spaces, but thank you for trusting me with your stories. I want to thank you all in attendance today for your dedication, and I must acknowledge and elevate the hard work that you're all doing to center the voices of people with lived experience. Thank you to the food banks and pantries for the long hours of labor and commitment to our neighbors and working so hard and so diligently to feed them. Thank you to the outreach teams and the grassroots organizers on the ground, raising awareness and mobilizing our people. And to the good trouble action takers that will not take injustice sitting down, as we have dealt with the unprecedented challenges of the pandemic and 2022. Thank you to the researchers incorporating their own lived expertise into strategies. We have a lot of work to do. So please take a second to show yourself some kindness and gratitude for everything that you have done. Celebrate your wins and continue to build community. We cannot end hunger without the help of all sectors and all people coming together. Let's truly be an alliance to end hunger. Thank you.